Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, Grocery Store Karen Needs That Cart Wiped Down Now. Ever since the virus, I've been really careful going to the grocery store, mask, gloves, full-length clothing, the works. Back in April to May our local QFC used to have workers to spray and wipe down carts, but after a few months they stopped, and now there are self-serve wipes available for all customers to disinfect their cart if they want. Well, apparently some people didn't get the memo. Multiple times now, someone has mistaken me for an employee while I'm wiping my cart. Can you do this one next, or are these clean? But then they look closer at me and apologize. Usually, I brush it off with a laugh. Living in a predominantly white neighborhood as a POC gives you a thick skin. Until today. First, while I'm wiping down, there's a sudden yank on the cart and it hits my arm. I look up to see a middle-aged lady trying to pull away with my cart. Mask below her chin. Out of instinct, I grab the other side and pull back. This surprises her and she looks up, but doesn't let go. Me, excuse me, what are you doing? K, no response. Yanks again. Me, let go please. K, no more yanking but doesn't let go either after a 10-second staring contest. K, whiny high-pitched, I need a clean cart. Me, then get one yourself. K, I'm in a hurry. Me, there are wipes right behind you. K, long pause, well can't you clean another one? Me, I don't work here. K, angry stare, not letting go, I need this one now. At this point the cart is no longer clean, but damn it, it's the principle of the thing. Years of letting it go is also bubbling to the top now as I stare into the face of this entitled woman who has likely gotten her way all her life. Not this time. Me, duck off lady. Step away from my cart and go get your own. And put that mask back on. She finally lets go by pushing the cart back towards me, grabs another one and loudly complains all the way into the store. Later I see her getting stopped by the manager, and arguing about keeping her mask on. As a conflict-averse person, I felt really proud of standing my ground, and had to post this here as soon as I got home. The next one is titled, Karen Goes to a Tattoo Shop. Maybe 10 years ago I owned a tattoo shop that was located next door, same strip mall, to a piercing shop. I had gone next door to watch the lobby for the piercer while they ran and grabbed some change. So, Karen walks in, and I get why she thinks I work there. I'm sitting behind the counter. K, I was here last week, and you ducked up my piercing. It's infected now and I need you to fix it. Me, I don't work here, I'm just. K, no, it was you, I remember your tattoos. Look. She proceeds to show me her navel piercing, swollen over the cheap crappy jewelry, obviously not from the upscale shop where I was currently at, and covered in yellow crust. Me, the piercer will be right back, he just went. K, no, you. You ducked it up and now you're going to fix it. I'm not dealing with anyone else. They shouldn't have to fix your mistakes. Me, I don't work here. I haven't done a piercing in years. I'm sure the piercer will be happy to. K, are you calling me a liar? I remember you. I don't want some guy touching me. Mind you, the only piercers who worked there at the time were men. You need to help me or I'm going to have to go to the hospital and have this thing surgically removed, and then I will have to sue you for my medical bills. Me, since I'm not a piercer I don't know for sure, but that thing looks pretty gross, maybe you should go to the hospital and get it checked out. K, I'm not going to the hospital. You're going to fix it. You ducked it up. I need this fixed today. Me, okay, fill out this form and we will see what can be done. I was tired of dealing with her. I just wanted her to stop talking. The piercing shop had a long release form that everyone has to fill out, so I gave her one of those to keep her busy till the piercer returned. While she was working on the form the piercer returned. I explained that she was upset and had an issue with her navel and then snuck out the back door to return to my, much quieter, tattoo shop. Maybe 10 minutes pass and guess who walks into my shop? K, I want to get a tattoo done today. This lady acted like she had never seen me before, no mention of me being in the other shop or anything. Me, I'm sorry I'm busy today, we are booked out for several months and not able to take any new clients for a while. K. I want proceeds to describe a fairly large and detailed tattoo, I can't recall of what. I know how much tattoos cost, so I don't intend to overpay. Me. There is no way I can tattoo you today and I'm about to lock up for lunch. K. Goes through the gate that separates the lobby from the tattoo station, sits down on my massage table, and holds out $40. How long do you think this will take? Can I use your phone? I have to call my husband and tell him when I'll be home. Me. In kind if a stern voice, I'm super non-confrontational so this was weird for me. Ma'am, you have to leave. You are not getting tattooed here today. I am not taking new clients and you've been kind of rude both here and next door and I just plain don't want your business. K. Here, holds out $40 again. You're not busy now so I don't see what the problem is. How do you even stay open if you refuse to tattoo anyone? Here, again with the $40. Me. Kind of hangry at this point, we tattoo plenty of people, I just won't be tattooing you. You're demanding a $400 tattoo for $40 when I'm already booked and you were rude to me next door. Please take your stuff. Shed emptied half her purse on the table to show pics similar to the tattoo she wanted, and leave. I'm trying to get lunch before my next appointment. K. I don't mind waiting. Me. Totally annoyed and kind of rude. I'm not tattooing you now or ever. Get your crap and get out of my shop and don't ever come in here again. At this point I picked up her tattoo reference photos and shoved them back in her purse to hand to her. K. Switched to full-blown banshee. What the duck are you doing? Give me my purse. You're trying to rob me. Give me my ducking money back or I'll call the police. She carried on a bit more, but I can't recall what she said, so I walked to the door, opened it, and threw her purse outside. Me. Call whoever's the duck you want but you need to leave now. She practically leaped for the door, continuing to scream about her purse, the contents of which had spilled from me tossing it, and on her way out she pushed me hard enough that I cut my shoulder on the corner of a vending machine in the lobby. I locked the door behind her, gathered my things, and left on foot out the back to get lunch at the bar a couple doors down. While I was at lunch, I was there for over an hour working on stuff on my laptop. I got a notification that someone had left a review. Guess who? It was the most insane and confusing review I ever read. My favorite parts were that I had secretly disclosed having hepatitis to her and that her nephew was going to do an apprenticeship with us, but wouldn't after how she be treated. The rest of it was profanity and saying my shop was dirty, I'm a drug addict, etc. So, I flagged it with Google and figured that was the end of that. My shop had a little enclosed patio at the front entrance with seating and a smoking area for clients as well as a bunch of potted plants and decorations. When I returned I found all but one of my pots broken, dirt and plants everywhere, a bench thrown halfway over the fence, the Christmas lights had been torn down, my gate had been kicked or pushed so hard it was sitting crooked on the hinges, my small window had been broken, one of the letters torn off my tattoos sign, and my ducking car was keyed. My car had a huge sticker for my shop and my plate was TA2NU, so it was obvious who to target. Not a little bit keyed either, this witch went ducking crazy while keying my car. There was so much damage I couldn't believe she'd been able to do it in the hour or so I'd been gone. I was super bummed. No one had seen it happening because the strip mall door parking lot configuration was kind of weird. So, I started crying. I was so bummed about my shop and the car and all of it. I'm really low key and get stressed easy and this was too much. I then called the police, cancelled my next appointment, and went next door to visit while I waited for the cops. I found out the lady had been crazy rude to the piercer as well and that he wound up kicking her out as well. She wanted him to replace the crap jewelry she'd gotten it pierced with at another shop with a $150 barbell for free and became irate when he refused. So irate that she pushed all the flyers from their flyer table onto the ground as she left while cussing him out. So, the cops showed up and took a report. It takes me a while to fill everything out and he took a photo of the cut I got from being pushed and we showed him the video of her trashing the place. It didn't catch all of it but enough. The cop was telling me that the report was pretty much just for insurance because we don't know who she is or how to find her when I remembered the release form. Part of their release form process was to take a photocopy of client ID cards on the form. They have a laminated form you just copy with the ID so it's all on one page, so that's what I'd done when I was trying to shut her up. We dug the release form out of the trash and the cops then had her full name, recent address, which she'd written in because it was different than her ID card, phone number, etc. She lived not even a half-mile from the shop. So, the cops drove to her house and arrested her. She got in trouble for all of it. By the time it was over, she had to serve several months in jail, and I assume a long time on probation, and I bet she had to attend classes, just a guess. I don't know. I got a notification several months later letting me know she'd gotten out of jail, and I remember thinking, damn, she was in there a while. The following day her husband called me to find out what the damages were so he could cover the costs. By the time I added it up, it was close to $5,000. I was kind of a dick and I taxed the duck out of them and quoted him as though I paid people top dollar to fix all the stuff I actually fixed myself, like replace and set up the plants, the fence, etc. He brought an envelope of cash in the day after I told him the cost, or it may have even been that evening. It was weird. He was a nice acting, seemingly normal guy. He apologized and said she has a temper. This means this Karen could have afforded the jewelry she was trying to get for free and the tattoo she was trying to get for cheap. I assume anyways. Seems like he just had the money laying around since he came up with it so fast. But don't worry, none of this stopped Karen. After she got out of jail, for about a year, my shop would get these random super weird reviews from random Gmail accounts that had no other reviews. I have no proof it was her, but we never got bad reviews till this happened, and they were all written in the same way. They all just sounded like the same person wrote them. Some of my favorite highlights from the reviews: that I am a prostitute and operate that business out of the shop, that we reuse needles, that we did a misspelled tattoo, that I sell drugs from the shop, that you can find nudes of me online, that we tattooed a minor without a parent, that we had dogs in the shop, that we got shut down by the health department, and that I hire illegal immigrants. There was plenty of other stuff, and it was all pretty far out. That's just all I can remember. This lady would write paragraphs of weird crap every time. Just rambling lunacy. I was in business over 15 years. That was the only Karen I ever remember having to deal with. I'm sure there were a few other rude customers, but nothing like that. I wonder if she ever realized that she provided us with the information that made it super easy to track her down right after. The next one is titled, Not Who You're Looking For. I don't know if this would belong here, and forgive if it does not. I work as a customer support representative for a software company whose name bears a remarkable similarity to a particular rap artist whose name rhymes with the word break. It's telephone support, and a lot of kids will search for this particular rapper's phone number and wind up with the phone number for this company. Several times, we receive calls from kids who have Googled the number and want to speak to this famous rapper, and we have to politely explain that we are a software company and not associated with this famous personality. It happens rather frequently, especially during the summer and on holiday breaks. This particular call was quite hilarious, as I answered my phone and gave the usual greeting, asking for customer account information. Suddenly I get the person on the other end, "You, let me talk to rapper. I got this sick beat I want to have him listen to, you." Normally the kids who call our line seeking to speak to the rapper are roughly 6 to 10 years old, but this guy sounded like he could easily be in his 20s or at least late teens. I reply, of course, with, "Sir, this is a software company, not associated in any way with rapper." "What? You mean this isn't rapper's phone number? N-word, I googled that crap, and you're telling me Google is wrong?" He is clearly getting agitated here. "That is correct, sir. We are not rapper or associated with him. We are a software company." "That is whack as F, yo. Let me talk to rapper, seriously, though. I cannot do that, sir, this is a software company. Man FW, I'm rapper's cousin, and there's a family emergency, and I need to talk to rapper right away." He is obviously getting desperate. "Again, sir, I cannot do that. This is a software company that makes software for purpose, not associated with rapper at all. You have the wrong number. Let me talk to rapper right now. It's a family emergency," screams the man on the other end of the phone. "Is there a parent or guardian I can speak to?" I ask in an attempt to de-escalate or at least end this farce. Click. This interaction is typical for everyone who works where I do. The next one is titled, My girlfriend at the time prevents nurse from coming and giving pain meds because nurse thought I was being seen by another specialty. So, this was maybe 3 to 4 years ago with my then GF. I was having a major surgery and my GF was planning to come see me immediately after she got off work. My GF was a nurse assistant at the time at a different hospital. It's well after my surgery, and I am getting pain meds every 2 hours around the clock for first 12 hours before going to every 4 hours, as this was a very invasive, painful procedure. The nurses had been great about bringing my meds in right when they were due, just fantastic service. So, I get my dose around 8 p.m. and my GF arrives in her scrubs and walks into my room. I had texted her the number, so she found it easily. Anyway, I'm having trouble talking because of the pain but telling her about the surgery and recovery so far. I notice it's about 10:20, should be time for my meds, but I know nurses can get crazy busy, but by 10:40 I couldn't take it and got the button. The nurse came in and was surprised to see my GF sitting on my bed with me. I ask for the pain meds, and she goes, "OMG, I'm so sorry, I'll go grab it right now." As she came back, she explained that at their hospital my GF's colored scrubs were the same as I believe respiratory for there, so they thought respiratory was assessing me due to the nature of my procedure and were waiting for her to come out to come give my meds. So inadvertently my ex caused me to wait for pain meds because the staff thought she was taking care of me already. Which is not unusual for diff specialties to pop in and assess without telling everyone first, so that's where the confusion came from. We had a good laugh and cuddle about it after, actually one of my fonder memories of her, but still, it's a funny story either way. The next one is titled, "Wholesome Lady Helped Me When She Didn't Have to." Not crazy nor funny, but greatly appreciate this kind lady to this day. This was during my first year of college when I was starting to figure out how to take care of myself when I was sick. I was trying to get a tea strainer for some loose leaf tea that I got so I could drink tea and feel better since my throat hurt so much. Would have definitely stayed home if I lived with someone, but I was in a dorm at the time and no one I knew had a car on campus except for me. So, my sick, very sniffly, slightly delusional self drove to Target to get myself a tea strainer. I don't shop at Target often, so I'm not the most familiar with the store, and for some reason the tea strainers were like an end cap for the card aisle. Anyways, I was looking everywhere, could not find it, also somewhat out of it. Then I see a lady wearing a red shirt. The magical Target red shirt. Salvation has blessed me. Me, "Hi, would you happen to know where the tea strainers are?" Her, "Oh sweetie, I don't work here." Me, "Oh, I'm so sorry, thank you." Not too sure why I still said thank you, but I did, like thank you for dealing with my stupidity, and I thought that was the end of the interaction. A little later I'm still searching for these gosh darn tea strainers and this lady comes back with an employee that can definitely help me. Her, "Here's someone that can help you, hope you feel better." I was very obviously sick and out of it, so she knew what was up, and I'm quite certain everyone in the town was used to absolutely clueless college kids. I still have that tea strainer. Hope this little bit of a happy don't work here story makes someone smile. The next one is titled, "I'm Not a Shop." I'm in the UK, I'm male, 40s, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, boxers hands. This happened a few years ago. I'm in the local Tesco with my shopping basket, picking up a few odd and ends, milk, bread, etc. when I am approached by a Karen. I'm not an employee of that shop, or indeed any supermarket, but I'm fairly smartly dressed. Karen, assuming that I'm an employee, starts by asking if I have chicken breast. I look at her in confusion for a few seconds before the penny drops, and a wicked idea forms in my mind. "No, I don't," I say. I don't mention that I don't work there, at least not immediately. This is important. She complains that she can usually find it, and that I'm not looking for it, and how I could look out the back in the stockroom, and I simply reiterate that I don't have any. As she and I go through this routine with 5 or 6 other products, I'm slowly edging my way towards the checkout. "So you have?" "No, I don't," until she happens to ask about one of the items in my basket. I say, "Oh, yes. I do. I have one right here." Duck, and finally, she says, "Can I have it?" Hell no. It's in my basket. I'm buying it. Karen opens her mouth to complain, then realizes that I'm a customer, that I had been wasting her time quite deliberately, and that I clearly didn't care how she felt about it, and she goes bright red. I'm not sure how much of that was anger and how much was embarrassment, but I just smiled, paid for my food, and sodded off. The next one is titled, "You Opened the Wrong Pandora's Box." For the holiday season, I got a temporary job doing customer service work for a jewelry company that many of you have probably heard of called Pandora. And yes, I know that we don't normally mention the names of companies we work for on Reddit, but this story won't make any sense if I don't. The job involves taking phone calls and online chats from customers who have questions or need help with their orders. During training, we were warned that we occasionally get phone calls from people who are trying to reach Pandora Radio instead of Pandora Jewelry. It's understandable, people might just Google Pandora customer service number and end up finding our contact information. No big deal, we're just supposed to let them know that they aren't in the right place. On this particular day, I was taking online chats, not phone calls. A chat pops up on my screen from a guy who was apparently kind of confused. He asked me to unsubscribe him from marketing emails, and since I don't actually have any back-end access to the website, I just let him know that he should scroll down to the bottom of one of the emails and press the unsubscribe link down there. Then he drops the following bombshell: "Okay, thanks. By the way, I'd also like to unsubscribe from Pandora Radio itself. Can you do that for me?" I literally stared at my computer screen, utterly baffled, for at least 30 seconds. If you're thinking that this isn't much different from people accidentally calling the wrong customer service number, please keep in mind that the only way to access the support chat is by scrolling down on the homepage of our website, a website that is entirely themed in pastel pink, plastered in sensual close-ups of jewelry, and has categories listed at the top like bracelets, charms, and necklaces. I genuinely still don't know how anyone could look at our website for more than half a second and still think that it belongs to Pandora Radio. And he would have had to look at it long enough to find the chat, so he must have lingered on the page for a little while. Still dumbstruck, I just let the guy know, "Sir, this isn't Pandora Radio. This is Pandora Jewelry." Through text, of course. He went, "Oh. Then what's the Pandora Radio website?" I directed him to it, said goodbye, and he signed off. Definitely not a bad interaction, but I'm still so baffled that it even happened. I hope the guy at least got unsubscribed from Pandora Radio like he wanted. The next one is titled, "I don't work here man, but I do work with you." I thought I'd share an incident that happened to me a few years ago. Background: I had worked at an industrial facility for about 15 years, the past couple as a member of the safety team. In my years there I had gotten to know many of the people on site, at least in passing. After joining safety I was responsible for some of the annual safety training for the maintenance team that wasn't a computer-based multiple-choice test. Incident: after leaving work one day stopped at big box hardware retailer to browse tools and ideas for some projects at home. I was dressed in jeans and a grey patterned generic polo, nothing close to BBHR's uniform, plus no apron or vest of any type, color. As I exited fasteners and headed for the register with naught but some ideas for new projects, one of the maintenance men wearing the R-rated uniform of the place I actually do work sees me and rushes over. "Hey, I'm from XX down the street and we need this plastic pipe fitting, or parts to that we can adapt to this size." Me: "Right, plumbing is back this way." I lead him over to plumbing and we dig through a number of adapters and fittings including specialty fittings for about 15 minutes. Just as we find what we need, employee shows up to offer help. "What can I help you find today?" "Nah, I'm good. This guy helped me find it even though it's not his area." "Well, let me help you cause this guy doesn't even work here." Looking to me, "You don't? Well, you sure did a better job at his job than this ass." Asterisk motions to as we head for the door. "Where the hell do you work if it's not here? I know you from somewhere." Me: XX down the street. "I did your fall harness training and made you tighten it up before I passed you." The next one is titled, "Serious, a woman keeps calling my number mistaking me for her therapist, and I'm a little worried." XL. This is not the usual amusing anecdote about an irate customer. I could actually use some advice in an ongoing encounter. This sub seems to have experience dealing with irrational people misidentifying them as those employed in their service, so I thought I might get some good feedback here. Mods, feel free to kick this if it's too off topic. For several months now, some woman with obvious mental health issues has been calling me. She's under the impression I'm her therapist. I'm definitely not. I have explained this to her, repeatedly. She has the wrong number. I have blocked her, which works for a few days, and then she finds another burner phone to call from. She has some delusions about being tracked by the government and tells me they intercepted her calls again and she got a new phone. I do have recorded voicemails, but I won't be posting them. They include a lot of private info she bathes off with every call, and some of it could be very embarrassing to either her or her family. The contents of the calls worry me that she may not just be off her meds, but potentially self-injurious. So, I played into the delusion a bit, encouraging her to go to my office, we need to speak in person, hoping she would reach her actual therapist that way. But that's a no-go, she might be followed. Adult Protective Services was absolutely useless. Though I admit I have very little for them to go on. Just a name, area code and some temporary phone numbers. I'd hoped that would be enough for a welfare check, but evidently not. The police refer me to Adult Protective Services, so they're no help either. I'd prefer not to change my number. I use this number with clients and such a change could cost me business. But that may be the best option if I can't think of anything else. I've tried various social media looking for people in her area code with the same name, either her or a family member, all with no luck. She gave me her therapist's name. I can find no record of any such person. I have family members who work in mental health, and this therapist is not known to the APA. Maybe she was getting treatment from somebody unlicensed. Maybe the therapist is just someone made up in her head. Either seem plausible after talking to her. I'm looking up mental health professionals in her area code. Maybe someone knows about her. If not, maybe I could direct her to someone in her area. I don't know how well that will go. But that's the last thing I can think of.